Alright, in this video we're going to be talking about AutoCAD MEP and AutoCAD Architecture's Project Navigator feature. This feature is going to be used for managing your drawings, managing your project, and it's got a lot of tools in there that are going to help scale the project. It is a best practice to always be using Project Navigator, and this video is going to cover how to set it up. So if you don't already have the tool palette activated, just in the command ribbon down here, you'll just type in Project Navigator. It's going to pull up this palette for you, and then you're going to be able to navigate to your jobs. So you've got three different tabs here. Later we're going to be talking about constructs in the project tab here. But we're going to go and set up a brand new job. So you go to project here, and the way that you're actually going to navigate with Project Navigator and switch around jobs is you go to project, and then you launch the project browser, and that's going to be how you can navigate between jobs. So that project browser is always going to look like this. The fastest way to navigate in between recent jobs is to use the recent button here. And if you have a project that's already been created, the fastest way to navigate there is going to be using this button here in the middle. And then this is going to give you a file path. So if you have quick access defaults here, or if you have a file path in your clipboard, this is going to be the fastest way to navigate, and I always recommend this. If you're not able to find the .apj file within this dialog box here, you should then use this button here to get this. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. Alright, for project creation, you're going to get into the drawings folder for your specific job. You'll go to AutoCAD, and then in here, you'll go ahead and hit the new project button there. So you'll give it the information that's asking for here. It's asking for drawing number right now, and then we'll give it another one here. It's project name. The most important part is then selecting your template here. So on our CAD drive, we're going to have a standards folder with the standards template, and then you'll go ahead and select either a D size or an E size sheet. So I always default to E. This one they want to use. I always default to E. This one they want to use D. So you'll just hit OK on that. It's going to go ahead and create it. I just created this project, that's why it's giving me this error. So once the job's been created, you should see the current project. You'd switch to that, and you're good to then close this dialog box and get into the Project Navigator. Alright, once the project is made in Project Navigator, we'll go to the project tab here, and we're going to start setting information about the job and who our client is and things like that. So this is always going to have some helpful things in here. For example, we're going to have detailed information, which is going to contain these out-of-the-box fields for project client, location, name, and you're going to see how we're going to use these all here in a few minutes. What you want to pay attention to here is where your template is going to be. So here's sheet template. If you're not familiar, AutoCAD, whenever you hit the plus icon up here, new drawing, it always pulls from a .dwt to create a DWG. So right now this is still pointed to our K drive, so on all jobs you're going to need to point this to the DWT that is within your job folder. So looking at our job within File Explorer, we can take a look, and you go to Project Files, and then Constructs will be where you locate your XREFs. Elements are where you locate your block definitions that are going to be used within your job. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. And then here's your DWT. So this is the file path that I'm going to need to use. So I'm just going to acquire that file path there using an AutoHotkey script, and we'll just go ahead, delete all that, paste in the new path. So then this is the path to the one for this job. You'll need to do this on every Project Navigator job that you do. Whenever you get these, you typically want to always hit to all nested subsets. And so you can take a look at a little bit more some of the stuff in here. For example, you can have project-specific tool palettes. I've never used it before, but that's kind of some of the stuff that you can control in here. Now, so you can have a different DWT by discipline here, and just right-clicking on each one of these subsets, you can then specify a different sheet set here for each one. Okay, so when you create ours come in with some placeholder sheets. I recommend always deleting these. There's a few reasons for it, but for example, these are all still pathed to an XREF on the K drive, so they're really not helpful. I do recommend you delete these. So let's quickly just talk about how you would interface with Project Navigator. If you needed to create a new drawing, you you can right click new sheet. Subset would be like a group here, so we'll do new sheet. It's going to always give you this dialog box here where you give it a drawing number, so we can make like E400, and then we can do plan first floor new work. Nomenclature that I'm showing you here, this is very common for all thermal tech jobs. You're going to want to take a look at our internet CAD standards there. And then file path, you're going to always want to do the client abbreviation followed by the drawing number. So for example, we might do something like this, where this is the client abbreviation and that is the last 3 of the project number. And then you can just hit OK, and now you're rolling. So that's how you're going to create sheets. We need to take a step back and actually fix our drawing template for this job. That's going to be the most important thing that you can do. So notice when I create this sheet, it automatically creates brings in a border xref as well as a border text block. And we'll go ahead and pin properties here. Yes, so there is, we just selected that. You can see it's a border text block, is a block reference there. And then here, this is going to be an xref. I think that if we look at this, we're going to see that this is still pointing to the K drive, and yes, you can see that just hovering over that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to set up our DWT first, or now we're going to set up our DWT to bring in the border for our job, and we're going to delete all of these ones that came in with the template only because they all have incorrect xrefs on them right now to the border. So the way to edit your DWT file is going to be to go to File, Open. You're going to go ahead and give it a path. You always need to set this to DWT. If you give it a DWT with this set to DWG, it will create a DWG instead. So here I'm going to give it a path to our project here, and perfect. So that's going to open up that DWT file. You'll notice that it says DWT. That's how you know that you've opened it correctly. Our xref here, that is going to the wrong location. You can see that this is going to the one on the K drive, not the jobs. So we'll detach that. We're going to go ahead and reattach. We'll bring in the border xref for this current job. And for those of you who aren't familiar, constructs is the word that is used in Project Navigator for the location of xrefs, such as your first floor architectural or your civil xrefs. Constructs is the word that is used for that. I'm not sure exactly where that came from. I'm going to guess it came from old school MEP verbiage. And so there's our border. Again, this drawing name is going to be incorrect here. You would need to have client, and you need to get this set up with the proper naming of this. So hit open on that. Overlay is fine. And the most important thing that you want to do in your drawing template is you want to set up your viewports ahead of time. So specifically, we'll go ahead and draw our viewport here. We'll get that on the right layer. We're also going to bring in our barbell as well. And next, we're going to talk about some fields that leverage your Project Navigator information. This is one of the primary use cases for why you want to use Project Navigator. So we'll talk about those fields in just a second here. Let me just set this up. Okay, so anytime in AutoCAD when you see this grayed out background like that, that means this is trying to target a field. Same thing with this here. So since this is not part of the drawing, this is going to be a little hard to talk about. I'm going to instead teach this from the actual jobs drawing, because this is actually able to pull in these fields right now. If it doesn't make sense to you, you'll figure it out when you try to set up your DWT file. So you just double click on it. If there is no field here, you just right click, insert fields, and this is the dialog box you get. So the reason why we want to use fields is they help us scale our drawing. So I can use a field to target project title, drawing number, things like that, and I can use that field all over my drawing in multiple places, and I'm only editing it in a single location, helping things scale better. So to insert sheet number, we'll go to sheet set. That's what each one of these, like electrical, mechanical, those are considered sheet sets. So we'll go to sheet set and then current drawing number. It tells you what it is. Yep, that's it. I want an uppercase, okay, and then I'll bring that in. And apparently I put that in the wrong location, but you would just do this for each one. So let's actually come back here. Let's get that right. So we'll do sheet number and title. No. And we'll just take a look at each one of these. Oh, current sheet title, perfect. Okay, so that's how you set those fields, and those are now coming in correctly. Let's just talk about, so same thing with our viewport. Well, let's actually just go back to this. The viewport and the barbell are the same way. So this is going to be, this field is already designed to pull from our title. Our scale here, we want to actually have our scale target the viewport and pull the scale from the viewport. That's again going to be the most scalable best practice that we can use, and it ensures drawing fidelity. That way we're not accidentally displaying the wrong scale. So notice what I did there. I just went to object and I used the select button, and now it's acquired that viewport, and now you can then set that to custom scale and to use scale name. So right now we don't have a correct scale on this, but if it said 1/4, it'd come in nice and neat with 1/4. So that is now targeting that. We can come into our viewport here and set that to an actual dimension there. We know that we always want to show annotative objects, so I'm going to enable that variable. You want to go ahead and get this all on the right layer. This needs to be on Viewport per our standards. At this point, your template is set up. You can go ahead and model space. You could bring in a architectural background if you wanted to your drawing template. Typically, this is as far as I take my drawing template, and we'll bring in our logos into the border XREF. So at this point, drawing template's set up, and now Project Navigator is rolling. Next thing I want to talk about is really setting up a general arrangement drawing or a viewport planning drawing, where you establish exactly what viewports you're going to have in a job. So what I always recommend doing is creating a new, we use general arrangement drawings a lot, so we're going to create a new subset here. We're just going to call it general, and all that looks fine to me. So that comes in there, and I'm going to create a new sheet that is then we'll call this viewport planning. And again, you're going to want to use, okay. So the intent of this is everybody is going to be able to reference this and pull viewports from this drawing, pull multiple things. Let's take a look at this. So imagine this box is my architectural floor plan, and this is a building or warehouse of some sort. The intent of this drawing is to establish with boxes here which viewports are going to cover what. So we would maybe do something like this, and we'd then put this on a layer that dictates the size. So for example, I would create a new layer that says size, we do scale 1/4, and we can do another one here, so 1/8. All right, so we'll start planning our viewports with this, and the engineers that you're working with on these drawings, they can go ahead and they can reference this and actually pull viewports from this, so everybody's drawings look identical. So we'll put these on the right layer to really communicate exactly what scales we're supposed to be at. And then in these drawings, you'll go ahead and you'll set up your viewport, your barbell, and essentially when somebody creates a new electrical drawing or mechanical drawing, the first place they're going to want to come after creating the drawing via the template, they're going to want to come in here. They're going to want to grab the viewport, grab the barbell, and do a copy base into their drawings. That way everybody's sheets have the exact same viewport. The alignment points all match. So this is going to be a best practice and scalable strategy to do this for all your jobs as well. Okay, this should be pretty helpful in terms of setting up your drawings to be scalable. The amount of time that it takes to do this isn't really all that long. Let's talk about a few more things in Project Navigator. if for whatever reason you need to rename a drawing, you'll right click, you'll go to rename, renumber. Here's where you're going to be able to change that drawing number, the file path, the title. So this is where you're going to do it. If you're using fields, then everything in your border text and your barbell, they all update. So edit, say it right, say it once, say it in one location, and it propagates through. So you're always going to want to be using fields as much as possible. Something that we haven't talked about yet is there's another few tools. I made a separate video on this, and it's the concept of scaling, making your drawings scalable using Project Navigator. So, for example, here we have a match line for our drawings. We could just enter in the drawing number. That actually is not going to be a very scalable practice. If you're doing a very large job, you're going to definitely want to be using fields here. And so, for example, let's say that we needed to reference sheet E301, and this is sheet E300 on this match line here. The best way to do that is go to the sheet set again. Notice it's going to list all the drawings in this job. So here we'll go, and then you can select from this list exactly which drawing you want up there. You can say I just want sheet number from that. And the reason why this is so helpful, and you should probably watch that other video, is if that drawing name ever changes, your data fidelity, your drawing fidelity is 100%. You don't need to remember, oh, I need to go back and change that thing. So making use of fields is going to be your best bet. Making use of that viewport planning is going to really help scale your jobs, make sure that everything looks identical through all your jobs. And then lastly, the DWT, absolutely critical that you set that type of stuff up. It's also going to allow you to start off with default layers. It's going to allow you to set the font styles that you're using. It's really going to ensure that everybody's starting from the exact same base point, the exact same template for all your drawings. And it's going to help scale your jobs. So that should be a pretty good overview of everything that's in Project Navigator. Only thing we haven't really talked about is constructs and elements. So we have the constructs tab here. This is where you're going to be populating your architectural files, maybe your 3D files you'll also keep in here. We're not going to get into the 3D file side of things right now, but if you right click on a construct, you can just do XREF overlay. This is going to be the fastest way to bring in your XREFs into your drawing. And the really nice thing about using this menu to do this is if that path changes to that XREF, like maybe the title of that XREF changes or the path changes to that XREF, this XREF overlay that you do via the constructs menu, it's going to auto update that XREF. Whereas if you linked it in via the XREF menu here, it would lose association if there was a name change on that file. So highly recommend all XREFs are brought in via the constructs menu here. Right click, XREF overlay. Then elements, you're always going to have a border text block in here. It's just a best practice. You just right click on that, insert as block. You shouldn't need to if your drawing template's set up, but this might be a place where you would, for example, if you were going to have hose stations or hand wash stations, they're going to be placed all over your site. This would be a perfect place to locate those blocks for people to be able to insert into the drawing and always have the correct version of that block. So the elements folder is really to host blocks that were going to be used repeatedly through your project and on all drawings. You do not locate all blocks that you're going to be using in here. You only locate blocks that are going to be reused and reused and reused. The common example they give in the AutoCAD architecture training is bathrooms, a bathroom layout. Typically, your bathroom layout's the same throughout your entire building. It might just be rotated, but the relationship between the fixture and the sink and the toilets are probably going to be identical through all of them. So that's typically what elements is used for, as well as constructs. Views, I don't use views. Not really sure what it's for. And there's this. The only thing we haven't covered then is you can do a drawing index. So that's going to be one of very helpful things. So you just right click on this, the very parent of this, and if you're in a correct sheet, you should be able to insert sheet list table. For whatever reason, it's blocked out right now. That's probably just a small bug, and you shouldn't have any problem inserting your sheet list. So that's something that you can insert on your cover sheet there. And that should conclude everything you need to know about Project Navigator within AutoCAD MEP and AutoCAD Architecture.